the sun. We're never leaving. Spread your wings and watch yourself become. Already dreaming. I'll lead you, break you, push up.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you're doing amazing. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's time to get started. Hey, it is the DMP Boot Camp Masterclass. Can you all hear me now? Testing 1, 2, 3. Yes, good. Okay. All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good to see everybody. Hey, listen, boot camp time. Couple of things I want to start off with. One, your DMP is about critical thinking. Well, but Sean, nobody in there, when they talk about DMP, do they talk about critical thinking? I know. DMP, most people that talk about DMP, the definite major purpose, it's because they're already on the other side of it. They're already on the other side of it, which means they say things like, what do they say things like? They say, if I could do it, you could do it. If I can achieve this, you could do it. It's not that hard. You got to have a reason. You got to have a passion. You got to have a desire. I get all that. But remember, when we learned about the DMP, the definite major purpose from Napoleon Hill, how many years, type it in the chat, how many years had he been studying what he's been studying? Anybody, how many years did he talk about it, right? He interviewed people for how long? 30 years? 20 years, 30 years. So for you to sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to do my DMP and I'm going to get it done. Can you get it done in 30 days? Yes, you can. Here's what's going to have to happen. You want to know what's going to have to happen? Focus and determination and absolute clarity. Because here's the thing. This is a skill that when you learn it, you can't unlearn it. That's the power of a DMP. And you know where we get some resistance? Where do you think we get some resistance when we talk about our DMP? From our old stories, from our old belief. We can read the instructions of what the DMP tells us. We can read the workbook that I have. Instructions don't give us our success. So what I'm going to walk you through tonight is every question in every page in the workbook. Because once you get started, here's the thing. How many of you have ever seen a bud? I got to put my glasses back on because I can read without it, but I can't see over there at the screen. How many of you have ever seen the bud of a flower bud? How many of you ever seen the bud on a tree, the bud on a flower? Did you yell at it? What? Did you yell at the bud, the flower bud? Because it wasn't a flower. Did you yell at the bud because it wasn't a flower? It was a tulip bud. It was in bud. It was getting ready to bloom. Did you yell at it? Did you ask it, why aren't you a flower yet? How many of you are in the bud stage of your DMP and you're yelling at yourself? You got to give yourself a breather. Yeah, I said do it in 30 days. Can you do it? Absolutely. Is it doable in 30? Listen, you could do it in a day. If you truly decide, if you put in 18 hours, you could do it. And the reason I'm saying this is because the reason I'm pushing it to 30 days, to push you to 30 days, to push you to a level you've not been before, is because you deserve to win like you've never won before. Does that make sense? Nod your head. Drop a 1 in the chat. So this is what I've been doing for 40 years. Pushing people to a place they want to go, but they refuse to leave the place where the pushing starts. How many of you have ever been stuck in your car? Anybody ever been stuck in their car? Right? In the snow, maybe. In Florida, it's the sand. Anybody ever been stuck? How many of you, when you're stuck and the car's rocking, do you rock with the car? Right? You're sitting in the driver's seat. Let me pull up my chair. You sit in the driver's seat and you're doing this. And you're trying to rock yourself out with the car. You think that your little bit, that little bit of motion that you're going to do is going to make a difference for a 2,000, 3,000 pound vehicle, that your little bit of this, it's because we have faith. We have faith. We have hope. We have hope. Your DMP is to give you hope. You're about to make all of the decisions you've never made before, to have all of the feelings you've never felt before, to elicit thoughts and actions you've never done before. Why? So you can have a result you've never had before. How fast do you want to get to a result you've never had before that you are in control of? Let me qualify this. Let me quantify this. When you decide that you are going to go after your DMP, do you think you might make mistakes? Those are the tuition to access your DMP. They're only a mistake if you do it twice. Otherwise, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. So let me ask you, I want you to write down in your book, in your journal, why are you here tonight? Why are you here tonight? If you're watching the replay, tell me, why are you going to spend, I don't know, we could be 3 hours tonight. Some of you may not stay all the whole time. But I'm going to be here till the last question is answered, because here's what I know. You don't really need all the questions answered, but it'll make you feel good. It'll make you feel good. And I want you to feel good, because I already feel good. I know what it can do for you. I know what it can do through you. I know what it can do to you. And if you knew what I knew, you'd be sitting in a different state. So first of all, if you can put your pen down for just a second, just shake your hands out. Just shake your hands out. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Move the energy, roll your shoulders, right? Make believe you're rowing a boat. Anybody ever row a boat? Row, Michael, row the boat ashore. Hallelujah, right? You ready? Okay, loosen up, loosen up. This is a fun thing. Have some fun, laugh. Hey, how many of you know how to smile? A buddy of mine, Scott Schilling, says this. How many of you know how to smile? Tell your face. See, because in a state of laughter, in a state of high energy, we can take in the tough stuff. This isn't me beating you about the head, neck, and chest area and telling you that you should do more, you could do more. That's injected values. I'm not here to do that. I'm here to help you unlock, literally unlock. What would it feel like to unlock that highest self? What would it feel like to unlock that deepest calling? What would it feel like to say, I got it. I got it. Say it out loud. I got it. Say it out loud. I got it. You got to love Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn said, don't ask for things to be easier. Ask for you to get better. Listen, the story about the birds. You're going to sow some. You're going to put some seed. It's going to fall on shallow soil. It'll look like it's grown. You go, I got a good crop. But it's going to die and wither because it can't put the roots down. Some's going to fall on rocky soil. The birds are going to get some of your ideas. We have chickens. I just put down an acre of grass, seed, covered it up with dirt, watered it twice. The grass is coming up. Guess who's walking around picking up seeds? The chickens. And I love it because I'll get to eat the eggs. So it ain't leaving the farm. It ain't leaving the ranch. All right. So any questions before we get started? Any questions before we get started? Yes, this is being recorded. Yes, it's going live on YouTube right now. So when we are done with this, there will be a version of it instantly available as fast as YouTube has the rendering done. So, any question before we get started? I ain't asking him a question. He's like on fuego. I don't really know how to deal with that. So, all right, here we go. Let me go find, where is it? Are you excited? Drop an E in the chat if you're a little excited about going through this, having a little fun with this. Okay. Oh, cool. Whew. I was worried. I didn't see any E's. I am a little addicted to your approval. So, all right, share screen, share screen, share screen. Here we go. All right. Let's make this a little bigger for me. So, why can't I find my desire? Now, inside, for those of you that are, this is your first time hearing this, you're not part of the DMP, you got the invitation through the email, sent it out to over 5,000 people. Welcome. This is the course that people are in. They're in day 8, day 9 of it. And I want to go back through and I want to make sure everybody gets it, because part of the challenge that most people have is that the foundation isn't clear. The foundation suffers. And because we try to keep up with the day, we didn't build the foundation. So I'm going back and kind of walking them through. Napoleon Hill once penned, the starting point of all achievement is desire. It is the fiery furnace. So here's the thing, I really want us to think about this. Circle fiery furnace. I know it's on 2 lines, but underline it, fiery furnace. Why do I want you to pay attention to that? Why does that make sense? Why is that critical for me to explain it to you? When you think of a furnace that's firing, is the fire everywhere, or is it contained inside the furnace? It's contained inside the furnace. So what I'm saying is, what I really want you to pay attention to is that gracias a Dios. What I really want you to pay attention to, hola mi amor, mi amorcito, ¿cómo estás?
Hello, what's up?
Hello.
Todo bien.
Todo bien, gracias a Dios. Ciao. So the point is this. Inside the furnace is where the fire is. When you start to do your DMP, when you start to get focused, you have to contain your energy. The reason too many people fail too soon is because they don't contain their energy and they let it go everywhere. Does that make sense? Imagine you're carrying a bucket of water and the bucket's got holes in it. You will be exhausted by the time you fill up what it is you want to fill up. So first thing is, in your desire, ask yourself this, write down on the piece of paper, on the notes in your journal, what distracts my energy? Is it, listen carefully, this is about your DMP. Usually it's going to be money related. On or before December 24th, I want to create 2024, I want to create $100,000 in additional income, $200,000 in additional income. Is it possible? Is it possible that there's no limit? There's no limit to what you can create? So where's the question then? Where's the doubt come in? Where does the distraction come in that lets your fire burn outside of the furnace? So literally draw a box on the page, in your page or in your notebook. What is the furnace that you're going to use to create your fire? In traditional speaking, we call it our why. What's your why? ¿Qué es tu por qué? ¿Qué es tu por qué tú quieres para eso emocional? ¿Qué es tu fuerza? For my Spanglish speaking friends. What is the thing that's going to drive your force? Is it legacy? Is it your kids? Is it, listen, I know this is going to sound crazy, but how many of you, and this is okay, listen carefully, how many of you kind of want to, how do I say this politely? Rub it in somebody's face. How many of you kind of want to just, told you I could do it? I guess that's the nicer way of saying it. How many of you want to be able to say, I told you I did it? I told you I could do it. Right? Drop a T in the chat. I told you I could do it. How many of you want to do that? So the point is that how many of you, that could be enough reason. That could be enough reason. Thank you. How many of you, you're not sure why? Listen carefully. You're not sure why, but you know what you got ain't going to work. That reason could be is I'm not staying here anymore. I don't give a rat's butt where I go, but I am not staying here anymore. Maybe that's the reason. What I can tell you is that you got to find something and put it inside that box. That is your furnace. That is your fire. That is your fuel. Does this make sense? Because without that, everything else the rest of the night, it's not going to make sense. So it's the furnace that can transmute thought into powerful action. It's the inner compass to guide you through the labyrinth of choices and challenges. You are going to be exposed. Do you think, listen, let me ask you a question. Do you think once you decide what's in that box, in that fiery box, your reason why, your legacy, your kids, retire your mom, pay off your debt, leave something for your grandkids, get out of debt, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Do you think once you make the decision, it gets easier? It's the reason, it's the biggest reason why most people won't make a decision. Because where does the responsibility fall? Once you make a decision, just tap your shoulders. Everybody tap your shoulders. It falls right here. My question is can you withstand the heat of the fire to move towards your goals? The DMP gives you this insulation, not isolation, gives you this insulation that you can withstand the tests, the storms. Desire's not just a mere wishing. You don't toss a penny in and hope for good. I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask for any response. Try to have your poker face on. How many of you have tossed a penny into the pond of hope, hoping that life just got better? Okay, Bob, nobody needs to raise their hand. I know, but I'm the same way. I used to talk, I'd go to the bank and get 100 pennies. So I had pennies to toss into the hoping well and the wishing well. Here's the starting point. Take a moment as you begin the process to define where you are actually starting. And at that point, you are commencing a journey. So on the line below where it says, just make some notes as to why you want to get so dang clear on your DMP. Write down the date and write down the time. Did you have the date and time already on that page? Congratulations if you did. If not, right here, put October 3rd, whatever time it is where you are. Because if you make the decision, your life is changed forever. Do you believe that one decision can change the course of your life? If one decision can change the course, wouldn't it be important for you to be the one in control of that decision? How much of our life we make decisions, but they're always reactionary. We are faced with something and then we have to respond. But we don't really get to respond, we have to react. What does it feel like? I really want you to dive into this feeling right now, in this feeling right now. What does it feel like to realize that you are making a decision to change everything in your life? And when I say everything, I mean everything. If you're going after the dream you've never had, what needs to change? Everything. Some really big changes need. Others, it's the smallest of tweaks. Wallace D. Wattles in the book Science of Getting Rich says it's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. So I would encourage you, start off and really dive in. Give yourself permission. Write this down. I give myself permission to win. Addiction to approval says, I'm always waiting for them. I'm always wondering about them. If we're the average of the 5 people we hang around, are you going to be as rich or richer than the highest of the 5 people you hang around? I really need you to think about this for just a second. If we're the average of the 5 people we hang around, the level of success that you want, will you be above the wealthiest person that's a friend of yours in that circle of 5? Will you be wealthier than them? Drop a W in the chat if you'll be wealthier than them. Then here's the challenge, here's the rub. You're going to need some new friends. If Joe Dispenza says our personal reality makes up our personality, or our personality makes up our personal reality, you have to make a choice right now in this moment. You have to. You don't get to, you have to. And then once you make that choice, you have to use discipline. Discipline is the ability to take action on an idea long after the joy of making it has left. Anybody need more time on writing down some notes of why you want to get clear on your DMP? The terrain ahead. As you proceed through this chapter, prepare to confront your deepest fears. How many of you remember the hero's journey? We haven't even answered the call yet. We're just getting to the starting line. And this is a starting line you have never been at before. Why? Because once you're at this starting line, there is no quitting. I want you to think about that for just a second. If you choose, right, like Mission Impossible, if you choose this mission, how many of you are willing to commit to never quitting on your dream again? That's a big ask. That is a big ask. And I'm asking you right now, you have to make the decision. If you're willing to never quit, you may stumble, you may fall, but you are not going to quit ever again, because starting over is painful. Drop a P in the chat if you believe starting over is painful. This is where that furnace, this is why you need that fire, because somebody's going to throw some wet wood into your fire. And if you don't have a strong fire going, it's going to burn out. It's going to burn out. Daniela, you've got a question?
What consists of giving up?
Delaying too long, a delay that will cause you to have to start over. This is an everyday, all day, staying focused on your task. You may not, listen, you may take a day off, that's okay, but you decided to take a day off. You decided to not be aware. It's when you decide it's not worth it. I'm not enough. It's when you let that internal voice, that wet blanket called your old story, that wet blanket called your self-talk, that gets thrown into the furnace, because it's going to show up. It says it right here. You will face your deepest fears. And somebody tell me what fear stands for. False evidence appearing real. Because here's the thing, what happens when we get fear? We get the 3 things, right? Fight, flight, or freeze. Nobody talks about the 4th one. Any of you remember the 4th one?
Freedom.
Freedom. You are going to face the fight. You are going to face the flight, the run. You are going to face the freeze. When your DMP is in place, you'll say, oh, so this is what freeze feels like. versus not acknowledging it. So this is what I want to run right now. How many of you want to run right now? Drop an R in the chat. Some of you might be afraid right now. We haven't even gone into the lion's cage. So the terrain, you will be asked to strip away the layers of the external expectation. See, you're not expected to know the answer. You're expected to keep going. You're expected to say to yourself, I'm worth it. Point to yourself and say, I'm worth it. You've not with such excitement. Yeah, I'm worth it. Maybe I'm worth it. She's worth it. He could be worth it. I don't know. Is this worth it? I'm worth it. This is where the fire comes in. This is where people tell me, oh my God, Sean, you are over the top. You're like crazy. Why do you get this way? Because this is what it's going to take. This is not kindergarten. This is a battle. This is a battle in this lifetime for your dreams, not mine. Not mine, for yours. And I'm willing to stand next to you, shoulder to shoulder, and walk with you and take the blows. Because here's what I know. This I know. There is not one battle you can face that we can't win. I need you to let that sink in. Now, how many of you are going to say, I could do it, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm all about the DIY. Do it yourself, baby. If you can see Laura and her beautiful, amazing, burly man of an engineer husband, you want to talk about a powerhouse. I'm going to ask you to be the absolute best mastermind for each other. This isn't about you do this and I do that. It's about you do this, I do that, and we do this, and the result is harmony. Napoleon Hill talks about it in his memoirs. He says, the couple who is in alignment is unstoppable. Which is why we need to find somebody who can mastermind with us. So, whether you align with Eastern philosophies that caution against the trappings of desire, or you subscribe to the Stoic balance of passion and reason, this journey is bound to challenge your perceptions. So why is this process so critical to your DMP and your ultimate success? First, desire is the emotional charge that electrifies your goals, giving them a pulse, a life force. Without a potent desire driving you, your DMP becomes a rudderless ship aimlessly drifting in the vast ocean of possibilities. Here's the farm boy translation. How many possibilities are there to your DMP? Listen carefully. I didn't say paths. I said possibilities. What's the possibility of your DMP? What's the potential, the possibility of your DMP? Isn't it 100%? Isn't it totally possible? So if you outline your DMP and we create your language that you use to activate and inspire and create the furnace and the fire, there's only one outcome. And it's not strategy. It's not story. The only outcome that comes from the achievement of your DMP is state. So if now, suppose it's to earn $500,000 in the next year. For some of you, that's a little out of reach. For some of you, that's not enough. All right, my Italiano come out. It's not enough for you. But the $500,000 isn't the $500,000. In the Bible, it says on the way to. It's the journey. Jim Rohn says, don't set a goal for the goal, set a goal for what you become as you achieve the goal. So it's always about state. And if you keep it about state, you won't be disappointed when you elevate your next goal. Too many people set limits. They don't set goals. If I could just make 10 grand a month. How many of you have gotten to 10 grand a month and it ain't enough? How many of you know somebody got to 10 grand a month and it ain't enough? If I could only get to 20 grand a month, they get to 20 grand a month and they're even more broke. It's crazy. So it's never about the thing. It's about the journey towards the thing. It's about who you're becoming. And who you're becoming is already inside you, which is why what I call all of this called personal undevelopment. You already have the skills and talents locked up inside of you. If you ever heard of the book, Everything I Needed to Know, I Learned Where? Didn't say in college degree. It didn't say in graduate school, in kindergarten. So first, your desire is the emotional charge that electrifies your goals, gives them a pulse and a life force. What would it feel like to be awakened by your dream and not your nightmares? Isn't it possible that your nightmares have a better, bigger, stronger life force than your dreams? Oh my God, I got to make more money. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I had a mentor say to me one time, it took me a day or so to figure out what he said. He said, if you want to worry about something, worry about being too rich. Worry about being too healthy. Worry about being too skinny. Second, a clear, unequivocal desire provides focus. It's the lens that sharpens the blurred lines. Water. Predictable. In the United States, at around sea level, water boils at what temperature? 212. Now, if I have a stove that's a gas stove that heats things up real quick, does the water boil at 198 because it gets heated up faster? If I use the sun and a magnifying glass and it takes me all day to heat it up, does it boil at 215? The laws are the laws of the universe. When you give life, when you literally feel the life beating inside your dream, the visualization of your dream, the fact that it takes over you. If you've ever fallen in love with somebody, didn't that desire begin to have its own heartbeat? Didn't it take on a new energy inside of you? Didn't you go for hours, sometimes days talking to each other? Oh my God, no, you go to sleep. No, you go to sleep. All right, I'm going to work. And you never went to sleep. What do we talk about? Listen, what do they talk about when they go to marriage counseling? We need to rekindle. We need to start the fire, the flame. We need to rekindle the spark. It's always about flame. It's always about fire. It's always about intensity. I'm asking you, put your dreams on life, not life support. Give them some life. Give them some light. Talk to people who will inspire them. Not make you break out in a cold sweat when you go to tell them. Third in this step of setting the tone for the tone. How many of you have ever been in a relationship and somebody came home and they were mad when they said hello? You knew they were mad. Hey, honey, hello. Oh, crap. All I said was hello. What's the matter? Your tone. Don't speak to me in that tone. What's the tone you speak about your dreams? Yeah, I kind of, maybe I want to take care of my mom and I want to, put some money away maybe for the kids, are you trying to sell me on you're trying to sell yourself? Well, I don't understand this. Oh my gosh, you should see. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. This is so amazing. When the house gets built over here on the ranch, you won't believe it. I'm waiting for you guys to walk in and you look through the back and there's the glass. It's all glass and the porch is there. And there's these comfortable, beautiful, amazing chairs that when you sit in them, you're like, ugh. And then you're watching the lake and you're seeing the sunset and you've got your favorite beverage or cocktail. I've got a Guinness because I've got it on tap. I've got a keg of Guinness and it's on tap. I had to go to Little Rock to get it. I'm like one of 6 people in all of Arkansas who has a keg of Guinness at their home because it's a man's beer, right? And so I've got this and I can pour, and then we talk all night and the fire's going. Versus, yeah, we're going to have a house and we'll have a porch and, you know, we'll have some drinks. Put some life into it. Your desire, intense, unwavering. Circle that. You got a red pen, circle it. Got a purple pen, circle it. Will be the catalyst that transforms these challenges into stepping stones. In essence, desire is not just a chapter in your DMP journey. It is the prologue, the introduction, and the very ink that pens the success of your story. How many of you would want to come to the house and sit on the back porch with me after I described it? The first version. I want you there. You all know this. I want you there. If this is the first time you're watching me, I truly want you here. I want you to experience this. Why can't I find my desire? The concept of burning desire is a pivotal one in the realm of personal development. However, identifying it can indeed be a struggle for many. So here's the challenges. Why? Listen carefully. Social conditioning is the biggest reason we struggle. You want to know why? I'm going to sit down here for just a second because I get running around. Do you want to know why most people dream big but never produce big? For many people, the most important people in their lives are who? For most, the majority, their parents. It's the first one that loved them. It's the first one that took care of them. It's who they got the little weed for and the flowers for. And it's the one that if they brought you breakfast in bed and spilled everything, they still loved you and you loved it. And you, right? Do you know what the biggest fear is? You ready? The societal conditioning is that you'll make them look bad. You out earning them will make them look bad. What does every parent say? What does every parent say? What does every parent say or guardian say? I want better for you than I had for me. I want more for you than I had. And they sacrifice and they push and they push and they make you sacrifice and they say, this is for your good. This is for your best. But you want to know what the challenge is? They don't know what your best is. But what did you adapt and what did you adopt? You adopted a level of best that has you hitting a glass ceiling. And you get into network marketing. Thank God you get into network marketing. You get around people who want to support you, want to help you, want to serve you, want to guide you, want to give you. And the first thing you say is, I wonder what they want. I wonder what's in it for them. You say things like, it's a pyramid scheme. The one at the top gets all the money. The one who does the damn work gets the money. It's time to start working on you. It's time to start working on you. So inherited roles and fear of judgment, you can read those on your own. Anybody have questions on societal conditioning and the taboos? Some of it's cultural. Some of it's gender. Right? Some of it's, how many of you were the firstborn and told what to do and you're doing something you really don't want to do, but and if you want to break tradition, all of a sudden, because you want to go off and be an artist and they wanted you to be an engineer, It's the fear of judgment. It's called addiction to approval. It is the addiction to approval is one of the biggest killers of people's success. Oh, I'm not worried about what other people think. That just tells me you are an addict. Because what does every addict say? I can quit anytime I want. I can quit anytime I want. I'm not a beer. I can drink 24 of them and it not affect me. Not me. That would be my brother. And he'd say he's not an alcoholic. Lack of self-knowledge, unaware of the inner self. As Carl Jung put it, understanding the self involves a journey into the unconscious mind. Many don't undertake this inward voyage and thus remain detached from their innermost desires. When you realize how screwed up society made you, what you've had to deal with, some of the traumas you've been through, some of the things you don't want nobody to know. How many of you have a story you don't want nobody to know? That's still sitting there. That ain't hidden. You just think it's hidden. Some people have not been exposed to enough experiences. That one's worth underlining. How do you get exposed to the experiences? Shake it out, Laura. Shake it out. Shake it out. I'm hot over here. You got me sweating. We haven't been exposed to enough experiences. If we have more bad experiences in our life, more challenging experiences, more disrupting experiences, and we're going to sit here and we're going to go, la-di-da, fairy tale, I've got my DMP. Woo, I'm going to make 120 grand in the next 6 months. Can you do it? Sure, you can do it. You mean I could make $120,000 in 6 months? The answer is, oh, hell to the yes, you could. You only need one thing. You don't even need a DMP. You only need one thing. The challenge is you don't want the one thing. Anybody know what the one thing is? It's leverage. I do the 90-second story. How many of you know the 90-second story? I take somebody you love, put them at the top of a building, and in 6 months, I throw them off the tallest building you could think of if you don't hit 120 grand. Honestly, if that was the case, anybody here believe they couldn't make 120 grand? This is the challenge with you setting a goal, is that it's always self-consuming. It's always about us. And the challenge with setting a goal for us is that we won't allow it because we're not taking care of people. Because we were told if we take care of us, it's what? Selfish. Write this word down, self-full. I am becoming self-full. Today at 8:20, it's 7:20, 45, I'm becoming self-full. October 3rd, I decided to be self-full. And if I'm self-full, I have plenty to give. Psychological barriers. Low self-efficacy. The belief that one can achieve what they desire often deters them from even identifying those desires in the first place. How many of you have ever talked to somebody who said, yeah, well, but I can't do that? How many of people, if you're in network marketing, people say, well, I'm not good at sales? You just sold me on not being good at sales. I think you're pretty good at sales. The concept aligns well with some of your teachings on mental toughness that I teach. Overthinking can be detrimental. Analysis paralysis. Drop an AP in the chat if you've ever known somebody who's done this. Pretty much you, but if you've ever known somebody who's done analysis paralysis, drop AP in the chat. And it doesn't mean for advanced placement. There was a class in school. How many of you took physics in school? I was in the class called Elements of Chemistry and Physics. Sounds pretty sophisticated, right? It was the slow kids class for physics. I was in the elements of chemistry and physics. I didn't even qualify for the physics class because I would get too nervous. I didn't do well on tests because I knew I was going to fail them. I never failed a test, but boy, I sure as hell gave it my best shot trying to. How many of us have a low self-efficacy? We have a low self-worth, and we won't even try to push ourselves to the higher level. Your DMP clears that up. When you have the fire in the furnace, I dare you to ask me a question I don't know. I dare you, ask me. I have no problem saying I don't know, but give me 5 minutes, and I bet I know somebody who does know. We can determine the size of your net worth by the size of your network. Your DMP is going to require you to increase the size of your network. And by default, in service to others, your net worth grows. How many of you it's okay to serve more? Is it okay to serve more? When the call is over tonight, you can start. Hell, you could start right now. If you've got a phone, if you're on your computer and you got a phone, start right now by serving more. You know what you could do? Send an I love you to somebody you love. Do it while I'm talking. Do it. I love you. Just do it. See, here's what I love about action is you can take it when? Now. When's the best time to take action, to change your mind, to change your state, to change your life? Now. Send a text to somebody, I love you. And if they're in the same room, that's okay. I watch the giggles. The complexity and fluidity of desire. I had to look that up 3 times to learn how to spell it. I knew what I wanted to say. I just didn't know how to spell it. Multiplicity of desires. Humans are complex beings with a plethora of needs and desires which may conflict with one another, finding that singular burning desire and burning the ships. What's the story we always hear about burning the ships? They only had one battle to win. Outnumbered 10-1. They only had one battle to win. Nobody was going to say, nobody's asking, hey, what are we eating? Nobody asked, I wonder what kind of swords they have. Burn the ship. We only got one battle. The challenge is we got too many battles. We're on too many fronts. You think multitasking is bad. How about multi-goal setting? Kyle Wilson, Jim Rohn's business partner for 18 years, president of Jim Rohn International. Jim used to say, we got to find the domino that knocks down all the other dominoes. Inside the DMP, I walked you through what Mark Victor Hansen taught me, and he's taught many people this, not just me. 101 reasons in 21 minutes. It's tough. It's tough. Most people wind up with headaches. In 21 minutes, you can give yourself a headache, and they wind up stuck, and they're like, I can't get, I don't know, more than 50. You mean you are so wired that you can't think of 101 things you would love to do, achieve, and accomplish in this lifetime? Breakfast in Paris, breakfast at the top of the Eiffel Tower. That means you're going to be there for at least a day, right? Get there early, all night, right? Where you're going to have dinner. All I'm saying is that your brain has been wired based upon what everybody has told you. The limits you have, the goals you have are limits others have put upon you. So the cacophony is often challenging of all of this. You got to pick one thing. That's why it's called a burning desire, a definite major purpose, not a definite multitude of purposes. And usually because of the life that we live in the world that we occupy right now, money is the thing that can change everything. How many of you in the last year? How many of you in the last 6 months have had a chance to help somebody, but you couldn't because you didn't have the funds? When will that change? So you got to take care of you before you can take care of everybody else. And I'm not saying it was a bad decision to not send them the money. You didn't have it. I'm not asking you to sacrifice. I'm asking you to place a decision in place that will allow you to never have to feel sick again because you couldn't serve somebody. You got this is when that burning desire, how many of you got a little bit of a burning fire inside of you and it's like fire coming out of your eyes at me rather than, right? How dare you make me feel bad? Well, listen, if I don't, somebody who doesn't love you sure as hell is going to. If I don't piss you off, get you fired up and get you so absolutely, gosh darn it, lit up and move with you, then somebody who doesn't like you is going to be a hell of a lot easier for them to get you fired up and you're going to get stuck. It's happened. Is money important? You're damn right it's important. And it's about time you have enough in your pocket so that whenever you reach your hand in your pocket, you got enough. Wallace D. Waddell says, there's a thinking stuff from which all things are made that permeates and penetrates and fills the inner spaces of the universe. You have to move from the competitive to the cooperative mind. He also says if there's any talent or skill that you could acquire or have access to, a resource that would improve your life, you have a right to be rich. Bob Proctor wrote a whole book. You were born rich. Get over talking about money. Money is not the root of all evil. It's what people do with money that reveals the evil they are that causes people to say money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't make you anything other than who you are. I squeeze an orange. What do I get? Apple juice? No, I get orange juice. When money comes, it squeezes you. And if you have not prepared yourself, there is going to be some nasty come out. And that's what your DMP does. It forces you to align, to clean, to be in absolute harmony with your ultimate desire. Evolving desires. What one desires at 20 may not hold true at 40. Our burning desire can evolve, adding layers to the complexity of the conversation. Economic and existential fears. Sometimes the urgency to make a living. How many of you are in this state? How many of you are making a living overshadows the leisure to explore one's burning desire? The concept echoes Maslow's law of hierarchy, where psychological and safety needs are preceded by self-actualization. So if you're not familiar with Abraham Maslow's 7 laws, the hierarchy of human needs, that's it, the human needs, you may want to check that out. Safety and security is number 1. I promise you, the challenge with looking at safety and security, that's the root chakra, the I am. That's where most here, this is going to sacred cow, throw them in a hamburger grinder. Most people say, you got to write down your vision statement, your mission statement. I am rich. I am this. I am that. That's great, but it's a security statement. It doesn't allow the flexibility of creativity. If it's only security, if you were hired to do security, how much creativity are you allowed? And the I am statement is the root chakra. The root chakra, right? Your tailbone right here, the root chakra, the thing that when you sit down in yoga touches the ground, your tailbone activates. So you've got 6 other chakras that you need to activate. So if you have an I am statement, go Google chakras. Then there's the sacral chakra right here in the tummy, in the sex organ area. Did he just say sex organs? Oh my God. Yes, the sex organ areas, right? The I feel area. The I am, the root chakra, the sacral chakra. I feel wealthy. I feel success. The solar plexus. I do wealth. I do exercise. The heart chakra. I love. The throat chakra. I speak. The third eye. I see. The crown. I understand. Imagine if you started to write your mission statements using all of the chakras. On the dashboard you came in, you'll see the ask activation, stands for Amber Swally Kinnick. She did an activation on the chakras, freaking phenomenal. It's in the resource section on the dashboard where you came in and clicked the button, tonight's button that you clicked. Down on the bottom right is a dashboard. There's an incredible ask activation that you may want to listen to. All right, so social conditioning. Many people grew up with societal and family expectations, right? We're Latino, we don't do that. We're this, we don't do that. We're Irish, we don't do that. We're Catholic, we don't do that. We're Jewish, we don't do that. We're Russian, we don't do that. Fear of judgment. How many of you have an aunt or uncle that you just knew when you were going to see them, they're going to make you feel like crap? That's just who they are. I'm going to go see Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony's going to go, what are you doing, huh? What are you doing? Right? Uncle Tony is Italian. What are you doing? Come on, huh? Forget about it. How come you're not down at the bakery making donuts with me, huh? So lack of self-knowledge, the journey into the unconscious, limited exposure, psychological barriers, the complexity. That looks like, are these repeats? Maybe. Hey, I did the book. You know, I did the book if there's repeats. So as you dive into the master class, hello?
Sean,
Yes.
hey, they're not repeats. They're the parts where we write our, what are,
okay. So yeah, there you go. So you can fill those out. Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome.
I get so excited. I don't know what I'm doing. All right. So Mighty Network, you can read. As Napoleon Hill once said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. You got the RAS. We talk about the RAS, the reticular activating system. Sorry, Beamish. The dogs are in my office. So as we approach the exercise with seriousness and introspection, let your ordered list begin to guide you. So here, anybody do this part of the workbook yet? Excellent. Way to go, Louise. So what I want you to do here is I want you to put these in order. So what would be the number one thing you would want out of your DMP? Is it the barrier breakthrough, to have wisdom of the ages, the holistic growth? What would be number one? Now, how many of you remember, the dent in the dentist, the kids, I forget what the books were called, but they were always there. And writing the little things. You can draw a line. Yeah, I would like for you to write it out to do the kinesiology, but you could draw a line. So let's say community connection was number one. You could draw a line and put it up to number one. Y'all follow me? So you didn't have to write it out. You can just draw the lines if you're lazy. Yeah, I said it. If you're lazy.
And I am lazy, but I didn't draw it out like that. I didn't even think of that, Sean. You got me. Look what you're doing to me.
Hey, listen, I'm just saying it's, But what would happen if now all of a sudden, here's what this is going to do. Part of it, what does it say up here? What does it say up here? Critical thinking. This is to put you into a mind of thinking. Hopefully it gets critical. Something like this causes critical thinking, because if I gave you 3, it'd be easy to do 3. I really want that one to be, I'll just do 1, 2, 3. But to do 10, that's critical thinking. So this is this corresponds with the conversation that's in Mighty Network. That's a different set of words that's in Mighty Network. This is the workbook. Then here you write down what are the top 3 that you really, why did you pick those top 3? Why did they sink into you? This is the because. How many of you do your gratitude? And at the end of your gratitude, you go back and you reread it and you ask what? Because. You say, because I'm so grateful for this, because I'm so grateful that personalized path was number 1, because When you write, you're writing slow enough that you repeat something a half a dozen or a dozen times while you're writing it. And that begins to create the new neural network. Does that make sense? It's why writing, the kinesiology, improves our memory when we write things down. Then here's the one about the success, getting the most out of your DMP. Rank these in order. Your DMP is going to do what? Allow you feedback, share your insights, trust the process. And here's what I can hear already. Well, what do you mean by practice as you learn? What does that mean? Well, in Mighty Network, it gives you the description of this particular area so that you can understand that better. Points to ponder. So this is definitely a repeat. So here's the concepts of your DMP focus. There's a blueprint. Rather than just an identity, call it your DMP blueprint. Rather than saying, well, I got to have my DMP, it's a blueprint. The blueprint is the architect of your potential. How many of you feel better thinking that your DMP is the architecture of your potential? Does it take some of the pressure off? That the building can be adjusted. The blueprint can be adjusted, but you have to have something to start with. Turn process into a journey. Right? Like turn problem into what? Somebody type it in the chat. You should never have a problem. You should always have a what? A project. Don't ever have a problem. We got a problem. We got a project. Outcome into triumph. The manifestation of your master plan. So this is all readable material here. And that kind of wraps that up. Questions, comments, thoughts? Ask away. Ask the tough questions. Ask the easy questions. What's your takeaway? What did you learn? What are you going to do a little different?
Hey, Sean.
Hey,
Hey
Bob.
there. So what hit with me that you said is what hit me early this morning. And that was the ability to comfortably say yes rather than I can't. To have that ability to make a difference, to give to those that I love, to have that wherewithal to comfortably say yes. That touches my soul.
So when somebody asks you what you do, what might be your new conversation? What might be your new response? I'm working on projects. I found a project that's going to let me comfortably say yes to those moments where I'm needed most.
Oh, love it. Yeah.
How are you going to do that? Very well. Why do you ask?
I love it. And that just makes me,
Yeah,
I couldn't fly.
I couldn't kick that smile off your face right now.
Yeah. Makes me fly. I float when I think that way.
And guess what? You make better decisions from that place.
Yeah.
This is what Hill talks about. When faith and desire tacked in and mixed in with emotion, I'm working on, what do? I have made a commitment to work on projects that allow me to comfortably say yes in a moment of need that I can serve others. Work on the language, but I promise you, somebody's going to go, I want that, especially people our age.
Yeah.
Right? I want to be able to help my kids. I want to be able to, when Mason says, Dad, I want to start a business, a buddy of mine, my godson, Joseph, wanted to start a business with his dad. Actually started, but it's a dumpster business where they leave the trash, the big construction dumpsters. He bought a truck, 110 grand, a used truck, and he bought 5 dumpsters, and he rents them for $500 a month, and he's making a killing. But his dad was able to give him the 100K, 200K, and get paid back with a little bit of interest. I know Johnny, I know he got paid back, but he's also making sure his kid's doing the work.
Yeah.
So,
Because that's important that they learn that. We don't want to just, we want them to grow. We want them to be able to stand. We want them to learn to fly
that's right.
and soar and become amazing human beings.
And sometimes the moment is need is the time freedom to be able to sit there and watch them at their baseball game.
Yeah.
My dad, I think, made it to one of my basketball games in high school. It was freaking awesome, but made it to one. I never missed, I think I missed one game in 12 years of being Mason. I made sure that I had to be there because I decided I would offer to film. And so therefore it was a priority because I couldn't let the coaches down because I was the one doing the filming of the games for 12 years. I'm pretty proud of that.
Indeed. And your son is proud of you.
Well, he could probably have done without me some of the yelling from the stand.
No, but he knows you were there. That means a lot to him.
And he was happy I was there to keep his mom a little more calmed down, especially. Yeah.
Michelle get fired up. I can't quite imagine
Yeah,
Michelle getting
shocking.
fired up at her son playing. I can't picture that.
Right. I love it.
Thank you for this tonight, my friend.
bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for being here. Hola, Laura. Y gracias a Dios.
Hey. A lot tonight, and I love it.
Good. Thank you.
I have a question. I want to make sure that I heard it correctly, or maybe there is something else that I need to hear. When you were talking about the fire, right, and the fiery furnace, you said, you asked a question. You said, what distracts me that makes my fire burn outside of the furnace? So my initial thought was, but I do want my fire out there. What I don't want is my fire to go out.
Right. But how many fires can you tend to? Imagine, so you've been here to the ranch. We had the little campfire here on the deck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the campfire that's up by the firewood, right? The big one.
Mm-hmm.
If we had both of those lit, could I stay at the campfire on the back deck the whole time? No, I have to go up and tend to that one.
Mm.
And that's what happens is when I go up and tend to that one, somebody comes and puts this fire out because they didn't see me there. So they go, well, we shouldn't leave a fire burning, and they throw water on it. They say, you're not enough. They say, what are you doing?
Mm.
Right? Your mom is one of your fire stealers. Now, you can take fire. Imagine taking a torch and leaving it with her, not yours to tend with anymore. You can pass your fire on, but boy, you better well have that fire lit if you know you're going into a place where somebody could steal it. I'd rather give it away. Listen, I'm coming. You could have some of my fire. You just ain't taking all of it, and you're not taking me away from it. So I would encourage you to not have fire outside of your box. You can go be passionate out there. You can take your flame with you, take a little piece with you. Like you see in the survival movies, they wrap it up inside of a little coal and they take it, and it's just a little tiny thing so they can start a fire with it when they need to. But if you take fire, you got to keep it burning. It takes a lot to keep fire burning. I'd rather that stay over here in the box. Every morning when I get on the morning call, I give you guys my fire because it's right here. You come to the ranch, I give you my fire. I go MC at the A&MP, I take some fire with me. They don't get my fire. I take some with me. So I think you're right when you want your fire outside, but you only want fire you can carry. You don't want to take this fire and put it out here exposed to everybody else. Too many people can put it out. When you were at your job, there was a woman there that was a fire stealer. Your first job, not the most recent one, the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. There were some people in your life that were fire stealers. Social media, fire stealers. I don't want to get on. I don't want to get on. So what are you hearing? What are you feeling? I want to help clarify it. Say this first. You say it, meaning not me. Say I'm right, meaning you're right. Say I'm right.
I'm right.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong in what you said. It's a perception that may not serve you in the longest of runs. You were told to sacrifice. You were told to give. You were told to be passionate everywhere. Until you have overflowing and overwhelming, you got to keep your fire safe for right now. You got to, when you go on your DMP, we got to get to the finish line. This is kind of like every time you go to run, oh, I'm on a 5K, but there's a 2K over here. I know I could win. And you never get back to the race you started. We got to get you across the finish line first. This is about you taking care of you, and gracias a Dios. And that's different. That's it's not right. It's not what I was taught. But it's how you'll win instead of survive. This is about thriving, not surviving. This is about making the sacrifice once. Because once you have this skill set, I can start my fire anytime. Because I have some that's locked up in a safe that ain't nobody ever going to get to. Not even Michelle can get to it.
Thank you for saying that last part. Because it definitely clicked. Because I was hearing like, no, like I wanna serve. I wanna be compassionate. I wanna be out there. That's me. That's who I am. So knowing that it's temporarily protecting my fire while I redefine what serving really means. If that makes sense.
What would it take to put the sun out? I don't know. It'd take a hell of a lot, wouldn't it? What would it take to put out your fire? Until such time it burns as big and as bright as the sun. I can stand in the face of almost, there's a couple of people still that could put make my fire go to smoke. Still heat, where there's smoke, there's fire, right? But they can throw a blanket on it pretty damn fast. And they're not even alive. I work on that every day. But for the most part, there ain't a soul alive on this planet that could do anything to my fire. They throw shit at me and I go, "Aw, I love you. You're nuts. You're absolutely certifiably nuts. And I love you for that. Thank you for being my nut crazy friend." Now, not all of that is said out loud.
Right.
But you can't take my fire away. You can't. You can light all the sticks you want and throw them at me. I just dodge them and they go right back in my fire. But you can light anything you want from my fire. How many candles can you light from one candle? A bunch, right? And every time you light a candle, does your candle go out? All too often, we're handing people our candles. Stop handing your damn candle away. Here, take mine.
Mm.
You can go light all you want, Laura. Light them all up. Don't be responsible for keeping them burning. Because then you never get to enjoy your flame. Oh my God, you're oh my, oh, and then you run over and you're lighting theirs and you're exhausted lighting everybody's candle. Keep your own damn candle going.
Mm.
And this is where being responsible to them, not for them. Every morning, y'all come and you take a little bit of the flame out of my fire. You light your candles. That's why you show up in the morning. Your candles are dim. Your candles need a little fuel. You want to light more candles. You go, well, I'm going to go to Sean's call in the morning. Come on, come all. 1,000 of you show up. I've been on Nano's call, 2,000 people. They all freaked out. Oh my God, I've never heard this. They all lit their candles on my conversation for an hour. Lit their candles. Call was over. I wasn't any less lit. There's a difference between giving and it being taken. Too many of us are confusing service with being a servant. I'm the king of my castle. I will serve you. I will shine your shoes. I will wash your feet. I will take out your garbage. I will do anything. But I am in service to you. I ain't your servant. I can be of the highest service because I haven't forgotten who I am. And that's part of my DMP. This is why you hear me say, my goal is to be a better husband and a better father. You can't take that away from me. I could be carrying your luggage. I could be driving you to the airport. I'm in service to you. I'm not your servant. I get to, don't have to. That when you say I have to, you are a servant. When you say I get to, you are now in service. And I can light 1,000 candles. Now that we have bees, I have unlimited wax. The bees are healthy. I showed them to another beekeeper today. I did a video and had him look at it. He goes, man, that looks like they're healthy. I said, I love it. I'm taking care of 5,000, probably 6,000 bees. I love it. I tried to count them the other day. I hurt. Does that help, Laura?
It does.
Okay.
Thank you.
What's the follow-up question? What's the next thing that's sitting right on the tip of your tongue that you want to ask? Or that you want to share? There's something, the thing that made you just swallow just now, and it's
No, I was thinking about what you said.
okay.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
So here's what I heard. Are you ready for the love? That's what your DMP makes everybody. Everybody. This is for everybody, not just Laura. Laura is kind enough and brave enough and strong enough to let me play with her and pick on her. I'm saying it to all of you. Are you ready for the love? That's what your DMP does. It literally forces people to see you, to become aware of you, and the haters hate and the lovers love. You just got to talk to more of the lovers who love you. So I'll throw my hat in the ring. I'm just a text away. You know that.
Thank you.
Y también
Let
gracias
someone
a
else
Dios.
talk. Someone else take the wheel, please.
Hey, Daniela.
Hey,
Hey.
you might have answered this.
No, I
But-
probably didn't.
I'm gonna go off of Laura. I love the fact that she asked about the fire and the wet towels. So I encounter a lot of them
Mhm.
on a daily basis. And there are days where I dry the towels,
Mhm.
and then there are days where I allow them to soak me.
Mhm.
Um what are I guess what I'm really trying to say is you can't get rid of those people. They're there, you know.
Mhm.
How do you love them through the process of this, going through the DMP, you know, going through all of that? And
So you've heard me say it, and maybe it'll take on a different meaning. Insulation versus isolation. So, have you ever been around a wood burning stove?
yes,
Okay. And was there any cover around it, or was it a potbelly stove that there was the fire, the cast iron, and that was it? There was no protection around
no protection.
it. So if you touch the stove, what happened?
You burn yourself.
Okay. And you could tell it was hot, right? Especially if it was cherry red.
Yeah.
So if you have kids, what do you put around it?
A protection.
So the reason they have the wet towel is because they always get burned,
Okay.
right? This is you being responsible to them, not for them. The reason anybody has a wet towel and they want to throw it on you is because they're afraid of talking to you, they get burned. So the only way they can talk to you is with the wet towel because the surface is so hot. The potential is so hot. Their past history has said, I got to go there with a wet towel. So what would a barrier that keeps them from getting burned whenever they talk to you look like? Because they ain't going away.
Right.
But the only reason they have the wet towel is not because they want a wet towel. They're all wet. You ever carry around a wet towel? How many of you have ever carried around a wet towel in your dry clothes?
Yeah.
Right? It's exhausting. You would never want to carry around a wet towel. So if we change the way we look at things, why do they have a wet towel? It's not because they want to. Well, that's how they always are around you.
Right. And I've heard that before.
Right. So whose responsibility is it to fix the situation?
Well, of course it's mine. I
get that. So now we don't have to ask them to put down the towel. Just don't give them a reason to have to use it. Doesn't make you wrong. It just keeps you from having to dry towels all day long. And I love that. So we have the ranch, right? Between Michelle and I, you know us both very well. Who has the farm experience?
Oh, we're going here. Okay.
I'm just saying. So Michelle has a lot of wet towels called cuteness
Yes.
on the ranch that don't probably belong on a ranch.
Right.
I want it to look like this. Could you imagine we're moving a chicken coop, much like you would move a footstool in the house to get it just right? It's a shed made out of pallets. Can we not cutify it? So I am freaking water hose, fire hose, and the only reason that any of it gets done is because the towel she has in reserve is a lot bigger than any fire I could have. and I don't want my flame to go out. All right, fine, we'll do it. All right.
Wow.
And so I put my mind in place. Okay, we can do this. And then you hear this. Well, that was easy. Yes, dear.
Okay, so this is ego.
Our
Dang.
farm was not cute. It was operational.
Right.
And I can't imagine the arguments my mother and father had. All I know is that my mom used to complain about walking in mud from the car to the house. And the cows had a $70,000 silo and a $100,000 concrete floor. And my mom, I could only imagine if I was old enough to comprehend the arguments. 150 head of cattle had more concrete than my mom did from the car, which was about 20 paces, to the house. We put in a sidewalk, you thought Jesus came to town. So some of that's carryover from my makeup. But yes, it's ego. At the end of it, is it really going to matter in 6 months?
No.
No, then why give it 6 seconds? That was one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the last 40 years is I ask, is this going to matter? And who's going to am I even going to remember this in 6 months? And don't give it 6 seconds.
That's also a practice.
It is. So, but the question then becomes, how fast do I want what I want? If I didn't practice that, the year it took to get the ranch after it was gone 3 times would have never happened. So is it worth it?
Yeah.
Yep. So then you just got to start. It's all easy to say. It's all easy to say. It's easy to do. I have no idea all of the stuff y'all are going through. But I could also promise this, probably none of us would want to switch places with anybody. The key is when you build your box, it has to be fireproof, wet towel proof, bulletproof. You also, though, for a good fire, you have to have a draft. You got to let some air in and you got to let some heat out. A lot of heat in most fireplaces, 90% of the heat goes up the chimney. In fireplaces, wood burning stoves a little different, but most of the heat in a fire around a campfire, 95% of the heat goes up. That's why you got to have a big enough campfire to warm everybody up. And you've got this little tiny candle of a flame going, why? How come nobody's coming to watch me burn? It's a freaking candle.
Damn, you got some slaps today.
The heat's gonna leave, the heat's gonna go, most of what you do, nobody's ever gonna see it or get to use it. We still got to keep the fire going. Most of what we do, nobody will ever see. You have to be good enough to know that you done good. You got to become your biggest cheerleader. You got to have some people around you that go, dang, Skippy, you're pretty freaking awesome. It's why you have your inner circle. It's why you are all here. I want to tell you how freaking amazing you are. I'll show up every day to remind you. And if I'm showing up to remind you and you're showing up for me to remind you, you ain't got that many cheerleaders in your life. Either we need to talk more and I got to light the fire under you more. Because listen, you can take all of the flame you want from me, but you ain't taking my fire. You hear the difference?
Yeah.
You can take my flame. You can't take my fire.
I guess we need to talk more.
Y'all heard that? Is this recorded? Yep.
Whatever. Nobody heard.
And sometimes it's a text.
Yeah.
I promise you, this is My mentor, this is where do you think I got the hourly from?
That scares the living bejesus out of me.
Well, then you should do it, right? Marcus Aurelius says the obstacle is the way. I can tell you the people who have done it. Brad has been absolutely, he's done in just bonuses. He got the job he wanted more than he ever thought, right? He said this, I said, ask for this. Give them a chance to cut it down. Don't give them a chance to take it away. I don't know. He just got another $11,000 bonus.
So the story that plays for me personally
Yep.
bring is that I will underperform.
So compared to what?
I compared to nothing. I get it. I have nothing to compare it to.
Right. But you're saying you're underperformed, but your old story's comparing it to something. Well, you'll not do it. You'll not.
I
Right?
story is comparing it to, absolutely.
So this is where we have to use critical thinking. And critical thinking says compare. You have to ask these questions yourself. All I do is when I ask you these questions, you guys, oh, you're slapping me around. It's just critical thinking. It's stopping delusional thinking. Your DMP takes away delusional thinking, takes away excuses. Doesn't mean you're gonna hit it out of the park as hit bat 1,000. RC, what's a 7-figure batting average?
Seven-figure batting average?
Yeah, meaning I get paid 7 figures if I have an average batting average of what? 300?
Oh yeah, no, I mean like 3 out of 10.
Yeah, a 3 out of 10, I'm making $1 million.
What's that song? You know, you're living in the Hall of Fame.
And all of this is because I'm doing 3 out of 10. Jim Rohn says, you get 2 out of 10, I get 1 out of 10, I'll beat you. Because I can get better. You won't get better. You're doing 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. You're amazing. Where's this level of perfection? Perfection is the highest form of procrastination.
Mm-hmm.
Done is the new perfect. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes progress, right? Les Brown. Gotta do it. And the reason that you have your DMP is so you got the bumpers up, so you go do something that you gotta go do, and you get a result. Potential, right? The box, the square box. Potential actions, results, belief. What's your potential for your DMP? 100%. What's your actions? Very little. What's your results? Worse than good. What's your belief? I can't do it. Well, shit, your potential just went to almost 0. And if your potential is almost 0, what do you think happened to your actions? Which now we're going to produce less than perfect, which produces a result that's even worse than better. And then you got less than possible. And you go, screw this. You want to know when I made another big turning point? When I had to put on the orange vest at Home Depot.
Oh,
And I had my name, Sean. And I had my own locker. And I was so grateful that it was 15 miles away from my home. Because there was a snowball's chance in hell that I'd see somebody that actually lived in my town. Yeah. Yo estoy en los hardware porque yo hablo español. I worked in the hardware section for 4 months at Home Depot. $12 an hour. That was my first, literally, ladies and gentlemen, that was my second job. My first was vice president of a $200 million network marketing company, a publicly traded company. I went from $200 million network marketing company at a lot more than $12 an hour to Home Depot. So I was kind of glad I had it.
The humbling.
Well, not necessarily the humbling, the understanding. I can now speak to somebody who has a job going, listen, I know what it's like when they, especially part-time. You got to be something special to, there were guys that worked there for 9 years part-time, but it was to supplement their income. I couldn't imagine. I drove through McDonald's just for S&Gs the other day and got #1 and supersized it. It was $13. Are you kidding me? That's an hour's work for me, let alone a family of 4. It was another recommitment just recently saying, I got to teach people how to make money, which is why I came up with the DMP. I have to teach people how to pull their head out of their armpit or someplace else where it's perfectly stuck and teach them how to, let's talk about money. So what's your new action, Daniela?
I was sending you hourly wiser ends.
Okay. And it's okay. If it's okay if there ends, we'll have a talk. And everybody knows that.
Okay.
But you have to be truthful, don't, because I can tell, I can read your texts.
I know.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
Yep.
So, a quick question.
Yep.
If it's an N and I'm not able to have a conversation.
No. It's got to be a few ends. And if it's an N, I usually respond back with outstanding.
Y's for yes, N's for no.
Yep.
Yes, I'm pushing towards my goals, or no, I'm not pushing towards my goals for that hour.
So Adrian, yes, it's a process I use with students who, if they want accountability, because nobody's an accountability partner. There's somebody you tell somebody that you've held yourself accountable. I can't hold you accountable. No more than I could lift your weights at the gym for you or drive your car for you. I can drive you, but that's not the same thing. You got to go lift your weights. You got to drink your water. You got to do your thing. So those who want accountability, it's accountability to themselves. And its question is every hour, did you move closer to your goal or farther away? Period. No, I don't care what the tactic was. I don't care what the strategy was. I don't care what the story was. I don't care what the state was. Did you move closer? Did you do an action? Did you change a story? Did you change a belief? At the end of 60 minutes, Y or N, yes or no? I moved closer or I did not. And what happens is usually within the first 72 hours, there's an awakening and awareness and a clarity that happens that I've had people in the next 30 days make an extra $1,000, in the next 60 days make 10 grand. And it's not because of some special skill I have, it's because they've decided to not play small anymore. And they check on an hourly basis. Go ahead.
Is this for me and you?
Yep.
Now, is this overall or particularly business?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
Awesome.
if your life isn't in order, then if Kevin gets under your skin and it's an N, that's your problem. But
Right.
it's still an N.
Right.
If you go do a live and nobody likes your post for your business, yeah, it sucks, but it's still a Y. You did the activity.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. So it's all the above.
Yes, it's are you a better human being based upon your requirements in the last hour? Did you
And
move yourself forward? But what?
What time of the day do I even want to ask that question?
I'd say from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. How How much of your day do you not want to have control over?
0.
Okay, then I would, every hour that's the top of the hour, I would do it at the top of the hour or the bottom of the hour, but within every 60 minutes, just do it.
Alrighty.
And what you'll find is the moments where you start to drift,
Mm-hmm.
that time flies by. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe it's an hour.
Is this payback for me asking you to do the awareness thing with me?
No.
Okay. All right. I got it.
Okay.
Aye, Captain. Thank you.
Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. Hey, Sharon.
Okay, I'm here.
Yes.
So when you were just doing that with Daniela about, every hour checking in, does this move me closer to my goal? To me, am I living my DMP? Seems a more appropriate question. Am I moving towards my DMP or not? Is that?
It's perfectly fine. It's an accountability on an hourly basis that you are moving in a direction you so decided. Nobody has to send me their goals or lists. All I'm asking is, if you want to be held accountable, it's either a Y or an N. I don't even want you to type out the yes or the no.
So what about that brings up such terror inside me?
Ask Daniela. What brings up the terror is that you know you can do more. You know you can do more, and you know that you're still playing small. Doesn't mean you have to do more. It's about you sharpening your saw.
Becoming more.
Yep. And listen,
Well,
you driving
what-
Polly somewhere, going with Polly to see Vicky, that's a hell yes.
yeah.
Right? This is about you being more of the human being that's required. This is what Jim Rohn says. Don't set a goal for the goal. Set a goal for who you become in the pursuit of the goal. That's your
Right.
DMP.
Right.
It's in the pursuit of the thing that you say you want to become. It's about who you're becoming. So
Right.
are you becoming your best version of you? And the answer is a hopefully yes. When I go sit and spend time with Gizmo, there's no way you could ever convince me it's a no. Yeah, but you
Right.
didn't answer your call. You ain't important right now. Right? I have to make the ranch cute. I answer to a higher calling.
Well, this morning when I was doing my journal thing, and Jesus asked me to dissect my DMP. Like, yes, this has really been serving me. I've been reading it every day and, and doing certain things with Ruth every day. And I send in a done for the video every day. But now I feel as though with this DMP course, which I am not actively doing, but even what you did last night with 101 and 21, and it's like, I've already done that. I've done that. And I'm thinking to myself, to do that again and to line that up and see if my DMP still matches is, what Jesus was asking me to do today, essentially. And there's this part of me that's just feeling like there's always more doing this and I'm trying to do less,
So then it requires a bigger question, doesn't it? And is it doing more of attraction? Is it doing more of vibration?
Yeah.
Right? Go do the 4 hour. I was talking to Ray Higdon one day, and I said, I have the hour-long Joe Dispenza recording of the pineal gland, not the 4 hour live. Well, he had been to an event, and here's where the telephone game can get things messed up. I said, I do the pineal gland a couple of times a week. He says, really? I go, why do you ask? Evidently, because I could tell by the really question mark that he thought it was something different, because we both meditate a couple hours a day. I said, which pineal gland meditation are you aware of? I said, the one I have is an hour-long recording. He said, oh. He said, I thought you did the 4-hour one. That's 12 hours a week of pineal gland. I said, I don't know about the 4-hour one. He said, oh, okay. He's
We gotta get you to an event.
yeah. So the point was, is that all too often, sometimes even when we have conversations with people who are in our business, their understanding of the same thing ain't the same thing. So when what I say that is that this not having to do more, the biggest doing you could is loving.
Yeah.
Is being the resource for people to realize that they're doing good.
Yeah.
No?
I think I'm doing better with that than I've ever done before. Thank
That's
you very
awesome.
much.
There you go.
I mean, and it shows up in my business every day. It keeps growing.
Yep.
Like, okay.
So don't
Gotcha.
get caught up in the doing. Get caught up in the results. If your business is growing, can you add fuel to whatever's making it grow?
Yeah. Yeah.
And does that serve you? Because there's no reason for, listen, if everybody needed firewood and I cut down all my trees, at some point I ain't gonna have no wood. So I gotta either teach you how to go plant your own trees or find out who else you can get wood from. But you can take all of the flame I have. You can light all of the fires you want from my flame. But you ain't taking my fuel.
Mm. And what I find is that okay, there's where the judgment comes. I find that I'm doing a lot of inner and a lot of quiet, a lot of self cares, and the judgment is that I should be doing more, but I know that doing from that place is irrelevant, and that but it's bringing up, because I'm paying more attention, I'm seeing all the chatter for what it is, and sometimes it ain't pretty, you know. But
we are our own worst critic, right? What did Covey say? If I got an hour to chop a tree down, I'm going to sharpen the saw for 45 minutes.
Yeah. And in the conversation with Jesus today, it was all about grace, because in my humanness, I will never get it 100% right. And he still loves me. I'm still lovable. I still deserve all the good coming my way. Yep. And it's like, really? Inside me, there's this like, really? You know, that's the rub. And so lining up the DMP really helps me. And I feel like there's another level of the work on my DMP.
Well, and this is what Waddle says. It's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways. What can I do to be of service? Going once. Take some time, and in the back office of the Mighty Network, for those of you that are part of the DMP, you're going to see the 3 feet from gold, and they've got a good workbook in there. Don't have to fill it out. It's kind of a good guideline to help create and write your DMP. It's a good idea to look at it every now and then and watch from day to day, week to week, how your responses to some of those questions might change as we work on the foundation of your DMP, which is your thought process, right? Our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings create our emotions, and our emotions create our actions, right? Our thoughts and our feelings equal stress. We either have it or we don't. If we don't have it, it's because our thoughts and our feelings, we wind up without stress. But stress comes when your thoughts and your feelings and your actions are out of alignment. I'm a millionaire. I'm doing posts on social media, but my results are nothing. And so you wind up out of alignment. Your DMP requires you to be in alignment, which means you're going to have to learn how to say no, N-O, so that you can know, K-N-O-W, your true capacity and capabilities. And that's the scariest thing. That's the thing that scares the bejeebies out of people. Is it Adrienne? Adrienne? The E gets me. Say your first name for me.
Adrian.
Adrian. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, how are you?
Outstanding.
Good. Zarosny says hello. She's waving in your
Hello,
area.
my love. Mi amorcita. Que me.
Oh, I'm so sad. I can't wait to see the recording because it came a little late. I get my time zones mixed up a little bit.
There's no worries.
But I did want to ask you, I was thinking about you the other day actually, and I was going to reach out because I had just this crazy week last week with my older daughter. And I feel like, so my kid's dad lives across the country. So he lives in Virginia, which is nice for me, but obviously not so nice for them sometimes.
Right.
And lately I feel like I've been like missing the beat. Like I'm very involved in their school. I coach soccer for the little one, you know, they're in every single club that they want to be in. And when I came home, I went to an event in Salt Lake City last weekend, and then I came home, and I don't know what had called up my older daughter, but she had a lot to tell me about. And a partial of it was, you know, like me not showing up for her, and I guess the way that responds well to her. But I'm like, she's 10, she can't really explain to me essentially how I can show up for her. But I feel like, you know, and she's like, oh, well, you know, you pay a lot of attention to your business, you're going out of town. But this is a part of where, you know, my business is growing and my presence is also needed. But I don't know how to balance that if, you know, my personal and me as a mom, I'm gone for 2 days. I'm taking overnight flights to make it back for church, to make sure we're present in the things that they want. And I'm like, I just don't know where I'm missing it.
Okay. So would it be okay if this had a solution?
That would be amazing.
Okay. If it had a solution, what would be the new story?
Not starting to take like Adderall to not sleep and be present in every single moment of my life.
Okay. So, and if that became the normal, what else would shift? What else would change?
Probably levels of sanity in a way.
Okay. And who would be jealous if that happened? Who would say, what's happened to you? What's changed? Are you okay? Who would, and they're being nice, they're being kind, but you're no longer stressed. You're no longer the person they know that they have in their memory of their mind. Who would be, I don't want to say disappointed, but who would question your sanity?
I feel like just myself. I feel like I'm questioning my sanity now though.
Okay. So if things got easier, Who would you disappoint? What old story would you disappoint? Is it the story of I'm a mom of two and I'm running a business and I got to burn the candle at 72 ends?
Maybe.
No, maybe. You're a beautiful woman who's smart and brilliant and running a business. You got a target on your back.
Okay.
There's some people who are jealous of you, aren't there? Right now, of what you have available.
Probably somewhere.
Yeah, well, they're probably closer than you think. And the reason I say that is because you have a skill set. How old's it? 10, and how old's the little one?
5.
5. To be a mom in a caring couple is crazy with a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old. To do it as a single mom and run a business? Who watched them when you went to Utah?
My mom.
Yeah. So mom loves that. But your 10-year-old wants mom as much as grandma is, or abuela is, or whatever the name is that she calls it, right? It ain't. Did she watch them at your house or her house?
Mine.
Yeah. So, but there's different rules when grandma comes over, isn't there?
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Right. So that's where
the old Latin lady.
that's what the what for came in. I don't care how your mom does it. This is how we're doing it now, right? So here's how you might serve that with your daughter. Tell her you bragged on her tonight. Tell her you told 18 people how amazing she is. The challenge is she doesn't know she always goes with you. She only knows you leave. She doesn't know she goes with you. And the other thing is that if you can ask and kind of set up an agreement or an AKA contract that says, during this time, when you ask for me, I will only be another 5 minutes, unless I'm on a call. But the most I will be is an additional 5 minutes before I come spend time with you. Now, can we agree that when we spend time together, that we have something that will serve us, will enhance our relationship, will allow us to spend some time together? And speak to her as an adult, but she may not respond as an adult. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would encourage you, though, to always do your best to say, you know, people asked about you today. I was so proud of you. I got to brag on you. They don't know they're always with you. As a mom, they can't leave you. But what they see is you leaving them. And it breaks your heart. I don't want to go. Ay, por favor. No, mama, stay here. Right? You don't want to go. But there's a part of you that goes, hey, oh my God, I get to sleep tonight. Oh my God. I know it because my bride. We have one child. And there's some times where when I was traveling as a VP of sales of an international company and I would travel, there'd be some times where I would come home and I'd say, I have a reservation for you at the Sheraton down the street, and you get to go spend the weekend there and come see us for lunch and dinner. But it was just to give mom a chance to sleep without feeling guilty. So you have incredible daughters. The fact that you can go off at all says how amazing you've done. But we also have to make sure that you take care of you. So how tomorrow, let's start with tomorrow. What would tomorrow look like if it was one of the days of your dreams?
Definitely no school. Probably not taking them to go to school. Probably take them to go do something that they wouldn't have gotten to experience any other day.
Is that a possibility?
Maybe not tomorrow.
Okay.
But probably Friday.
Okay, so let's plan on Friday. How excited would you be between now and Friday if you got to be working on that plan?
Probably excited.
Okay, so if you choose to do it, maybe it's a half day. Doesn't it could be the whole day, right? But now imagine if they don't know until Friday morning. And you let them in on the secret. And you see the excitement in their face and you remember that. Because this will be the day that they took off. This will be the day that whatever it is you have planned. And you don't have to have it down to the detail, but you're a mom, you like to have things in order, right? You got to have some things, right, organized. So you'll do your best plan to have it. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a play date with somebody. Who else takes? I don't know. But you start to give yourself time, because now you get to go to bed with a dream in play versus responding to, I don't want to say nightmares, but definitely not dreams. You don't get to dream if you're in reaction mode. All right. So now all of a sudden, guess what business you're in? When Friday comes and it happens, guess what business you're in? I'm in a business that allows me to plan a surprise day once a quarter for my kids, where I get to take them and do an experience that they've never had before. And my company still paid me to do that. How many moms would wish they could? How the Hades do you do that? Takes a little effort, but it also takes having a community of people around me that support me. So that's a possibility. How do you feel thinking that Friday, tomorrow's Wednesday, in 2 days, you get to give them Christmas in October, at least for a couple hours?
That sounds fun.
Now, if you do that, is it also a reward for you?
I feel like I get torn in the concept of every time I say yes to one thing, I'm saying no to something else.
Okay, so if you say yes to this, what are you saying yes to?
Saying yes to moments with my children.
Right, lifetime memories. And if you say yes to that, what are you saying no to that could be more important?
More important, nothing.
Right. So then are we not saying no, or are we just saying, like we say in network marketing, not right now?
More of not right now.
Right, because if it's not right now, it means, yeah, you could pick it up, you could double up a little bit. Some of the things you were going to do might not have been of the highest urgency or importance, but they sure as heck kept you busy and made you feel good. Good isn't enough for you. Great is where you should strive, and you deserve greatness. You're a great human being. You're a great mom. You're a great daughter. If I ask your mom on the right day.
Most days, hopefully.
Most days. So does that help?
It does. I feel like since last week, I kind of feel like you have that like flight, fight, but I feel like I've been in this like frozen area where not a lot of productivities come because I'm like, I kind of just feel like that, like when a Harry Potter and they're like petrified, like I'm just like stuck and I don't know where the remaining of me is at. I'm still trying to sort myself out in like this one-dimensional concept, because I'm thinking I have all these things, I'm doing all of these different things, I'm trying to be as present and I'm showing up. We do soccer, we do cheerleading, student council, like we're a part of all. I look at it like they're not a part of it, that we're a part of it.
Right.
And my involvement's important. And then, for her to be like, oh, well, you left me. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. What about all the times I said no to this and I said yes to you? And I don't want to label her and tell her that she's ungrateful, because her feelings matter. But I think at the same time, you know, where I don't want to get so caught up in rewriting myself and saying like, well, I didn't carry over these generational curses. So, you know, I'm not drinking, I'm not abusive, I'm not all these things, but I don't want to miss the beat either.
So if you were to guess the love language of your daughter, is it acts? Is it touch? Is it words? What's the thing that turns her crank?
I feel like both my children like all of them.
Okay, but there's ones that are dominant.
Um,
Is it you brushing their hair? Is it you saying that they did well? Is it you making them their favorite meal? What's the thing that just turns their crank beyond all others?
I think just time together. Like they both just
Okay,
love
so-
to talk to me.
Okay, so, and how are they in sharing you? Do they like to share you?
No, but they're both very different. So it's
Right.
easy to individualize them.
Okay, so what could you do? I know it's not getting late, but it could be late. What could you do tonight that would start a 1-minute process that would be unique for each of them? Doesn't have to be an hour long, 1 minute, right? So sometimes it's holding your foreheads together if they're spending quality time, or it's holding their hand or reading them a poem, or what would be quality time? Working on a coloring project that you spend 1 minute on. If it goes a little longer, that's fine. The key is, what I'm saying is how do you do bite-sized chunks that can build, and there's anticipation for that particular thing on a regular basis? Doesn't have to be daily. Could be, but doesn't have to be. But what's the 1 minute that they get? Just think about it. And something else may spawn from that. But what we're doing is we're literally creating new neural networks in the brain that says, how do I serve that so that I'm not torn? Because I don't need you torn. I don't want you broken down saying I gave them all I had. I don't want you to give them all you got, because you need something for you. You know, if you're still going into the bathroom and closing the door going, I just need 2 minutes. You've got to take care of you, and you need some you time. And if you understand that you get to do those 1 minute moments, they can be just as special for you as well. So your DMP allows you for them to participate in your definite major purpose. As you build your business and your business grows, they see you spending a lot of time taking care of other people, and they forget what taking care of other people allows them to receive. So if part of the process is to get them sold on the idea that they get to ask, Mommy, how many people did you serve? It does a couple of things. One, you'll serve people who serve your family, versus serving people who say, you're the best person on the planet. Well, you haven't done a damn thing in your business. I don't need you to be good. I don't need you to like me. But it's okay if they like you. But just know those people you do in group coaching, and the ones who, right, go where your time is deserved, not where it's needed. That's a huge shift for people who run a networking business. Go where it's deserved, not where it's needed. You'll be exhausted. Because anytime somebody asks for your time, they're taking it away from your babies. My family knows that I do these calls and this is it, but these are the times I do these calls. Now, if I started doing calls all during the day and this, that, or the other, they'd be like, I thought we had this time. Now, when I do challenges from 11 to 1 or whatever it is, they know that on a Thursday, Friday, I'm doing a challenge. These times are taken. But other than that, I do a morning call, I do an evening call, and some people call me during the day and I help them, but that's it. You make me leave my driveway, you're paying for it. Big time. You make me leave my driveway, you are paying for it. So, does that help at all? I know I did a lot of rambling. Does that help?
No, it does. I feel like, I just been,
Let me ask you this.
I felt like I had to humble myself essentially and
You don't
kind
need
of tell. And what I ended up doing was I had a conversation with her and I made her write down, well, not made her, but I asked her and
Right.
made her.
to.
I had her write down the things that she did not like about me. She's 10, and I felt it was a portion of her kind of facing her own fears of not telling me something that I didn't want to hear. So I made it purposeful for her to tell me things that I didn't want to hear.
Yep.
And partial of it was just her understanding. And a part of the conversation was me explaining like the vision that I have, the end goals, like the essentially breaking down what I do and why I do it and what the vision and the outcome of all of it could be. So
Did you also ask her?
obviously
Did you also ask her what she loves about you?
that was like the end of the conversation after she
Okay,
told me.
so here's a couple of things. As I was going through 30 countries in a year and multiple cities and everything else, the thing I would always say, and I say this even today, I love my family. And Michelle and Mason, wherever they were in the house, if they heard me, they would say, I love my family. And that's kind of a little tradition we say, and I still do it to this day. I'll walk into the house, I love my family, and Michelle go, I love my family. Now, if one of them is not responding, it's probably because I ticked them off. But start something, could be in your language, right? Spanish, could be in whatever language, right? Te amo mi familia, or whatever it is. But say it so that they get to participate in it. You can do it before you start a call. I love my family. I just heard Mason say it on the other side of the wall. So add that little humor, add that little something special that they get to participate in. And it becomes habitual, habit forming. And the other thing is maybe at the end of the day, is you ask each of the girls, so what did you love about your sister today? I like it. What did you love about? And the other one doesn't have to be present. So it's kind of a little secret they tell mommy. And you tell them what you loved about them. They also have to tell you what they love about you every day. It's not ego. It's not you wanting them to tell you how amazing you are. Sometimes they need a place to tell somebody how much they love them. We all feel good when we get to give somebody recognition, right? There's a difference between recognition and edification. They're not edifying you, they're recognizing you. When you'd help them with their homework, Mommy, you know this so good, that's edification. Mommy, thank you for helping me with my homework, that's recognition.
Okay.
And sometimes it doesn't hurt for us to thank them for the things that they did anyways that they're supposed to do. Mason helps me do stuff out at the ranch. Mace, thanks for your help today. No problem. Now that I need to work with them on the word no problem. Well, no problem. Which meant that there could be a problem, which means that it doesn't sit well. Our response should be something to the effect of, my pleasure. It was an honor. I enjoyed it. No problem. The subconscious says that there was a problem and you decided to make it not a problem. So.
Okay. It does help.
You're an amazing mom. Who's your cheerleader? Who do you have as cheerleaders?
I feel like my cheerleader is my daughter's dad. I think he's the 3,000 miles away is so helpful.
Okay.
But for the most part, he's more of my person, you know, on the harder days, to recognize the things that I do versus me constantly shedding spotlight on the things that I missed.
Okay. So if you're needing another cheerleader, I'd be happy to sign up.
Yes.
Send me a text and let me tell you how amazing you are.
Okay.
Because you're an amazing mom. You're so amazing that your kids want more of you. You know how many moms the kids are like, thank God she's going. We get to go to Abuela's house, Nana's house, Papa's house, whatever. Right? You're an amazing mom. I'd love to be one of your cheerleaders.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's awesome. I love it. Who else? Thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways, take with yous, feedback, feed forwards. I appreciate y'all. Well, there you go. There's your DMP little masterclass on mental toughness. And we'll do this probably every 10 days or so to go over everything that we've gone through and to give you a little kick and get you going. So I love you tons. If anybody's watching this recording and wants to be a part of the DMP, you can go to SeanGMurphy.com/DMP. Reach out to me and I will get you, if you've been on these calls, I'll get you a super VIP coupon code for what my inner circle pays for these. Or you can just, if you feel like donating, you can donate the $4.95 because that's what the course is. It's worth a lot more than that. But yeah, if you're on these calls, reach out to me and I'll get you a family and friends discount for you to join us every Wednesday night. Today's Tuesday. Yes. So tomorrow night is a traditional normal DMP call. So we'll see you tomorrow morning on the morning call and same bat channel, same bat time, and 6 a.m. start meditation. And we'll see y'all tomorrow night. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling DMP misfit. I'll see y'all where?
The next event.
I love it, love it, love it. All right, y'all go have an amazing evening. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Good night. Thank you. Love you guys. Good night.
Blessings.